Hello, hello, hello. Quick mic check. Hopefully everything is working. Okay, you can hear me. Great. Seems like it sounds okay. Perfect. All righty. I'll be on camera in just a minute. All righty. Okay, there we go. Just had to move things into the right position. Okay. Michelle, I know how you're doing, but everybody else, how are you doing today? Hope everyone's having a good week. I'm sorry I could not stream on Sunday. Nothing was working properly. So it was just a huge hassle, but it's all figured out now. There we go. Alrighty. Right. All right. So today I'm going to be working on this painting, just obviously trying to finish it, although I doubt I'll finish it today, but that's, generally speaking, the goal. Like I said, I don't really think I'll finish it today, so it'll just be getting it closer to a finish. But yeah. Other than that, um, I don't know what else to say about it right now, honestly. Mostly just going to be doing that. There's a bunch of things that I need to like fix and placement. It's all very subtle, but I'll be doing that. And yeah, that's about it. Alrighty. So I will say this, I am running into an odd little problem with the what's it called? With the plastic panels that I wasn't anticipating. Um, so it is a solvable problem, but it's a problem like I said, I was not anticipating, which is the the tape that I use on the back of the panels to adhere them to the boards um, isn't sticking as well. So it comes off, and so they keep falling off of the boards that I stick them to. So I have to start using stronger tape, which usually I use tape that's like very what's it called? Uh, very gentle, like it has a low tack and stuff like that. But for the plastic boards, I'm gonna have to make sure to get some strong tape. So the odd problem to have. All right, let's do a little oiling out here. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what oiling out is, you just put a little thin, very thin layer of oil on your dry painting um, so that the paint that you put down moves better and feels more like you're painting wet into wet. It also will uh, bring any paint that's sunk back to life so that you can match your colors and your, shine and everything. Um, you don't have to oil out. It's not mandatory. In fact, there are definitely times when oiling out is not recommended if you want to, to do certain techniques, like dry brushing, or if you need to put tape down or anything like that. Um, but yeah, and then you want to make sure not to put too much paint down when you oil out. And another thing too is that when oiling out, you need to be careful of if you have a big painting, this is a very small painting, but if you have a big painting, you don't want to oil out areas that you're not actually going to be working on. You want to try and keep it just to the areas where you're going to actually be working because you don't want to build up that layer, um, a layer of oil that with no paint in it. Yeah, it can cause all kinds of problems. So right now, I'm comparing my painting to the reference, and I overlaid them on the computer, and I'm trying to just um, I took a photo and I'm overlaying it. It's not a live feed overlay kind of thing, although that could be convenient. But I'm just trying to get the placement right. This is really only for placement of things. Um, and while placement is important, it is not always the most important thing. It just kind of depends on what you're working on. But I like to work this way. It definitely lessens the mental load because I'm focused on getting things in the right place, and then afterwards I'll be focused on painting it and knowing that everything's in the right place. Of course, the reason that I constantly have to do this is because I constantly mess up the placement of things. I'll get it in the right place, and then as I paint, I ruin it, so to speak, and I mess it up, and then I have to go back and correct it again. But that is kind of the nature of it. Some people are really good at filling it out in a way that you don't have to repaint it as much. I'm not one of those people for numerous reasons. Um, One of the reasons is because I'm trying to paint in a more kind of abstract way, and I really, what's it called? Um, uh, prioritize mood over everything else. Well, not everything else, but it's a main focus, I would say. And because of that, I'm trying to, um, because the mood is so important to me, you know, I'll focus on that, and that will a lot of times ruin edges. One of the reasons is because soft and lost edges really, really help for mood in a painting. Not the only way to get mood, but it definitely helps. And by their nature, the the edge is a little unclear, and so it's easy to lose to lose it, your spot, and to mess it up. That's this constant like back and forth. Sorry about that. And sometimes it'll be situations where I'm just using a brush. Sometimes it's I'm using a brush that's too too large. That does happen. Sometimes it's I'm using a brush that isn't very clean or sharp. And then as I go to clean up the edges, by trying to clean them up, I end up expanding them. So I have to go back and you know, push them a little into one direction or the other. But yeah, it's okay to work on a painting and mess it up as you go along, as, as long as you go back and fix it, before it's finished. Also, a lot of things, mess ups and stuff like that. Not a lot, but often there are definitely ones that don't matter that much and that you can just leave, or that they are technically messes, misses or messes, or however you want to, you got it incorrect, but it doesn't really matter if it's incorrect, right? Because like if the nose is a little too long or something like that, only really matters if you're really focused on getting the likeness. Otherwise, if you're just slightly changing the features, um, depending on how they're changed, might not even be that important. Yeah, it's worth keeping that in mind. And it's also worth keeping in mind that sometimes, like, what's correct and what looks better aren't the same thing. And once again, if you don't have to make it look exactly like the person or the photo, you know, artists take liberties with things all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's also nothing wrong with trying to get it exactly correct either. It just depends on what you want to achieve. I guess that's the main focus. Just depends on what you want to achieve. Keep that in mind. It's easy to get lost in, you know, all kinds of different aspects of a painting, but keep what you want to achieve at front of mind as you paint or as you work. So all the paint on my palette is currently from a different painting I was working on yesterday, and I have to kind of readjust everything, um, you know, for this painting. Not that there's a problem with that. It's just kind of a mental thing I need to keep in mind. I don't want the colors that I mixed for the other painting to necessarily influence this one. Having said that, my palette's the same almost all the time, so that part is not changing. So I can keep using the same, I can, switch from one painting to another with the same palette, no problem, in theory, as far as the pigments are concerned. All right. Because this painting is uh, landscape proportions, I couldn't really fit the palette in unless I zoom out. And it's a very small painting, so I figure people probably want to see the painting closer than they'd want to see the palette on the side. But, you know, um, unfortunately, so yeah, you guess you're not going to see me mixing a lot of the colors, but that's I'm standing here looking off to the side like this. That's all I'm doing. Just mixing some color. Just cleaning up my palette a little. So one thing I mentioned, and I've mentioned this repeatedly, because it's a what's it called? Um, Stumbling point I'm trying to avoid, and I want others to avoid, um, is the halo effect on. It doesn't matter if it's the person, if it anything you're painting. If you're painting something and you're using you're using your brush to carve into it like I'm doing right now to get, to change the shape of it. If you're doing that and you just go around it, you create like an outline. Um, and even if it's the exact same color, a lot of times with paint, especially oil paint, you can still see like the direction of the brush. And so you can often still see it like circling the subject. That's why I call it the halo effect. Um, there are lots of ways around that, and numerous ways. Just kind of depends on the circumstance. But it is something to be aware of. As far as like ways around it, I mean, you can do what I'm doing right now, which is going from the subject out. I can still create the effect, but it can lessen it. Or um, you can go towards the subject and you can mix them around, towards, around, away from, at angles, and so on. Another one is to just go past like what the border would be and then paint back out to it. That often looks a lot more natural. However, that is one of the reasons that I'm constantly repainting things back and forth, is because I go too far in, too far out, too far in, back and forth. So it's one of those things to be aware of and to pay attention to. Also, there's nothing wrong with doing the halo effect on purpose. It's all about intentionality. If that's what you want, by all means, do it. There's definitely circumstances where it would be appropriate or useful or a useful tool. Like nearly everything when it comes to painting, it's all about intentionality. A four-letter word card says, I really like the colors of this. Uh, the whole painting is a mood. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yep. Uh, the smoke will be the last, part of it that gets added to it, which will be kind of the cherry on top at the end. Yeah, yeah. The colors on this one um, are not exactly true to the photo. I did edit the photo quite a bit and really try and uh, like increase the mood of this overall. Um, yeah. I mean, it had a lot of the vibe to begin with, of course. That's why I picked the photo. But the, you know, I like to add to it if I can. Yeah, when I don't take the photo reference myself, uh, I spend hours searching online for photos, um, places that have, copyright free or that have a license that I can use in whatever way. Yeah, spend hours looking for photos. And then after I find a bunch, I usually download a bunch, but then I have to spend more hours curating those ones and editing them and really, really getting some that I can use. Hey, Mark, good to see you. It's looking great so far. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Glad you like it. How you doing? I guess I should address this in case anyone missed it. I couldn't stream on Sunday. I updated OBS and that broke all my plugins. That broke basically almost every aspect that I use of the program. So I had to um, like downgrade back to the older version, which isn't that big of a deal, but I was running into a ton of computer problems around it, and so I just could not get it to work in time to stream. So I do apologize about that. It just happens sometimes. How you doing, Mark? What have you been up to lately? Hope you're feeling better. And I know you were kind of bummed out last time I streamed. I hope things have improved a bit since then. I'll probably grab my larger brush. That would require me to take a short break to actually get it and clean it. And so I'm not going to do that, even though I probably should for this section of it specifically. By twisting the angle at which the flat part of the brush is, right? Of course, you can get thinner lines or thicker lines. So when I'm doing a section like this, if you see me holding it at an angle, it's usually just to thin it out a little bit if the width of my brush is thinner than the line I'm trying to paint. And sometimes I want the sharp edge at the end, like the V or whatever, but a lot of times it's just to thin it out. Okay, I don't know what I did here, but there's a bit of a ridge that I was created somehow. I'm just gonna get rid of that real quick. Uh, when you're dealing with paint in general, oil paint or any paint, certain pigments can be toxic. Oil paint is known for that because of lead white. Not that you have to use lead white at all. Um, and of course, cadmiums are toxic, and there's other paints that are toxic. Generally speaking, most of the pigments, it's a matter of degrees of toxicity, right? Um, and as I always say on this channel, don't eat your paint, because a lot of paints aren't toxic, but if you eat them, they could be toxic. They're not exactly labeled for consumption, so yeah. The reason I'm mentioning that is because even though I like scraped a piece off, um, it's it all came off as like one piece, and it's already wet on top of that, so everything was very much contained. A lot of people sand their paintings. They either do that to reuse old panels with a painting on it, or that's already on there, or they sand it just to smooth it out for the next layer and so on. You got to be very, very careful with that because you don't want to breathe those pigments. A lot of them are very toxic, and even if they're not like known to be very toxic, they still could be very toxic. They're just not labeled for it because no one's expecting you to inhale them or to eat them. So generally, I don't even bother sanding. I will not sand the painting. I'll just get a new panel. I won't sand the panel to reuse it. It's not worth it for me. Obviously, that's my choice. You can do whatever you feel comfortable with, but it does not seem worth it to me. Scraping is a little different, right? Sanding produces very fine particles, um, whereas, just scraping off a chunk feels a little different. There are ways of doing it safely, if you have the right gear for it, but, if you have the right gear for it, you probably don't need me to tell you about it. So yeah, I'm just cautious about that stuff. I always feel bad when I start getting too much into the detail on stream because I feel like people can't necessarily see it, but I do have to actually paint those things sometimes. So, like, I did have the zoom in for a little while. Like, I would try and zoom in, but that got overly complicated after a while. Hi, Ike. Welcome. Good to see you. How are you doing today? I'm doing good. Lovely painting. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that you're doing well. Yeah, I'd love to finish it today. I just realistically, because of my time limit today, I don't think I'll finish it today. But I'm definitely making progress on it today, so that's always good. At least it's, moving forward. What have you been up to? Anything interesting lately? Okay. Let's see. Like I said, just trying to draw at least one thing every day. That's cool. Although sometimes, a break is required. Um, I used to do a drawing a day blog, like I posted every day a drawing, but I didn't actually draw them all the same the day I posted, right? Like I created a backlog in the beginning, and then I Like at one point I went to visit family, so I was flying overseas, and so I had to I had to stock up a few for the flight and everything. So yeah, it's very challenging to do that though. So and if you did it daily too, it's also very challenging. I also did Inktober one year. Oh, if you're ever going to do Inktober, make sure you plan it out in advance. That is a very challenging, what's it called? Very challenging challenge to do. It is challenging, but the YouTube algorithm isn't friendly when you skip days. Have you found yourself growing quite a bit lately? Um, if so, that's fantastic. Do you stream your drawings? Or how do you do it? You mainly post shorts. I see. This isn't entirely related, but I just got a notification. I keep getting notifications on Twitter. You get notifications when people like your stuff. Um, there's a post I posted, I don't know, I think it was a year ago at this point, about AI art, and it still gets likes and views to this day. I think it's already at like, I think it's like at 200,000 likes or something like that at this point. It's so funny. It's like a post about I like I pretended that I used AI to make a Frank Frazetta painting. I totally credited the Frank Frazetta because I'm not trying to actually steal his stuff, right? Um, but it was funny. Some people didn't realize that's what I was doing originally. They didn't get the joke. But yeah, people still like that one to this day. Oh, let's see. Ike says, I noticed that posting every day results in an average of 2 subscribers every 3 to 4 days. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I have to work on my posting and everything. That's going to be the goal in the next couple weeks. Um, I might even have to change my stream schedule because of it. We'll see. But we'll see. Haven't made any decisions just yet. Share your you're in the Discord, right? Feel free to share your channel in the social media or stream, whatever, sharing channel. But yeah, when you get a chance. So yeah, having the big brush definitely, and this one's a little frayed, so it's got the rough edges, which sometimes actually helps a lot, like softening things up, like softening up the edges, softening up the, you know, um, yeah, mostly it's just the edges, but it can really soften up the strokes a lot and give more of a like, feathered or, um, you know, hazy look than the small, very tight brush that I was using before. This depends on what you want to achieve. Uh, so yeah, you know, there's always advantages and disadvantages to different aspects of brushes and so on. The one thing, like I say this all the time, one thing I try to avoid is the Bob Ross type of thing where it's like it's like an effect brush, and that's the only way you can paint a particular thing is if you have that particular brush. Try to be aware of that. Having said that, sometimes the right type of brush really, really helps paint things, right? So it's definitely a balancing act. But one of my favorite painters, um, I've seen him paint like um, I've seen him do landscapes with he did it digitally, so but he did them with like nothing but a square brush. And like that is it. Just a hard edge square brush that I think he could change the size of it. Um, but he didn't change size. I think he changed sizes, but he couldn't change size as he was painting, meaning it wasn't like pressure controlled. So super, super basic. Uh, and yet he's painted some gorgeous, gorgeous landscapes like that. So you can totally do stuff like that. You don't need all the, um, you know, you don't need all the gimmicks and all the like special brushes to do things. Worth keeping that in mind. But at the same time, the right tool for the job can be very helpful. Trust me, if you need to paint like thin lines, like long thin lines, a rigger brush, um, is the one to go with, hands down. That's why they're called that. They used to use them to paint, I think, the rig lines for boats and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken, that's where the name comes from. They, um, they do sell brushes called combers, like a comb, like to brush your hair, where they feather the edges on purpose. So some of the bristles are longer than others, and that can give you that feathered effect and soften up your brush marks. I actually bought I'm gonna say a couple, but I don't know if it's a couple. It's at least one. I bought at least one, but I haven't used it yet. I bought a bunch of brushes from Rosemary and Co. They're one of the, better better renowned brush manufacturers. Um, but I haven't used any of their brushes yet. I ordered them, I got them, and then I put them aside because I still have these brushes that I'm using that are functional. So let me check something here. Okay. I definitely messed up some of those edges, but that's okay. I'll just go back in and fix it. This painting's a little challenging in the sense that um, I'm kind of painting, like I'm trying to paint what's behind certain elements of the painting that I can't entirely see. And the reason I'm trying to paint what I can't really see that well is because I don't want to have to paint in between the things that that I'm going to be putting down. So just trying to paint, like, it's like, hey, Lost Pixel, welcome. It's like when you paint a tree. If you try and paint the sky through the tree, it has a particular look to it. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of painters do that particular thing, but it's definitely a noticeable thing with a noticeable look. Whereas if you paint the sky first and then you paint the tree in front of it, it has a different look. Now, that specific example, in some ways, it might not be the best example because it is something that's very common for artists to do, but that's a particular thing. There are definitely times when you don't want that look. Anyways, Lost Pixel, how you doing? What have you been up to? How's the streams been going? Lost Pixel says doing okay, been okay, missed doing a few because of weather here, but I should have affiliate after this stream. Got the followers, now just got to wait on them to update stuff. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. You've been really grinding away to get that affiliate real fast. Really awesome. For anyone who is not following Lost Pixel and wants to help him get affiliate and follow his journey on Twitch, he does 3D um, sculptures. Uh, he is Lost Pixel with an underscore at the end of it. Had tons of storms though, storming right now, and we are under a flood watch. Oh man, sorry to hear that. I hope it goes by, you know, without incidents. Aspect says, I also followed you on Twitter. I finally made myself a Twitter account last night. LOL. Cool. Cool. I'll follow you back on Twitter for sure. I just didn't see it. It's funny, I did actually look at my Twitter today, because I keep getting notifications that like a tweet I made, I think a year ago or something like that, keeps getting likes, um, which is funny. It's got over like, I think it's like 200K likes, which is awesome, but it's also just like a joke tweet, so whatever. It was making fun of AI artists. Hospital says going to try and start posting stuff more regularly on the various online things because I am terrible at that stuff. So am I. And yeah, I'm in the same boat. That is one of my goals moving forward is definitely to be better at that stuff. I feel you though. I struggle with that stuff. So you followed me right before you hopped into chat? Okay, cool. Oh, I see. You saw me on and was like, oh, hey, I should follow people on there. Yeah, on there. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm real easy to find. I mean, aside from the fact that I should have all my links, I have all my links in YouTube. I don't know about on Twitch. I may have not updated it on Twitch because I forgot to. But I have all my links on my YouTube channel to link to everything. But also, uh, honestly, if you just spell my name correctly, and obviously you followed me, you don't need to know this, but generally speaking, if you get my name right, um, you know, you can find me on any platform that way. Lost Pixel is agreeing with me. Yeah, the one disadvantage is that people will often misspell my name. That's the big issue is that people just get it wrong. Even people who like shouldn't, they still do. Sadly, mine was taken several places, but not by artists, funny enough, usually. Yeah, so someone did take Leod because it was their first name, which was Leah, and then they added the D for their last name. So unfortunately, someone did grab my name once. That's why it's Leod G. I did the exact same thing. So it's Leod with and then G for my last name. But if you still search Leod, it still comes up because it's not a common name regardless. But yeah, some singer, she took it. I don't think she even posts anymore. But Oh well. I got it everywhere else, practically. Oh man. Las Pixel says just got flashbanged by lightning hitting right outside the window. Yeah, we had that happen. That happened multiple times last few days. Jeez, yeah, that can be scary. We had that happen. In fact, we had it happen. It was so close that it scared it scared the animals like crazy. But then also um the windows shook, the house shook, the electricity flickered, um, and I straight up thought it hit the house. Like it was so physical, not just like the sound. It was so strong. I actually went outside to check to see if there was damage to the house. It was that like bad. Um, so yeah, it can be scary when it happens like that. I'm not trying to one up you in any way. It just depends on all those factors. I mean, it wasn't actually that close. It just felt like it. Like I went outside and there was no damage. It didn't hit the house. Like it was no problem. So it ended up not even being that bad, but it can be scary is what I'm trying to get at. The past two were not as much rattling that happened. Yeah. Oh, the first time it was like the past twice ones weren't. Yeah. And there's an artist on here I follow that has been streaming for 14 hours. Holy cow. That's crazy. Are they doing a subathon or something? Why are they streaming for so long? I think Nicholas Uribe did a 24-hour stream, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. Maybe he just wanted to, but I thought he actually did it. But I could be misremembering. My brain feels like sludge sometimes. Just working on art, it looks like, but it looks like one of the people who streams full time is their job. They have 8,000 followers. That's cool. His name is Void Brush. Interesting. What kind of art does he do? They're a PNG tuber. Okay. I haven't seen your response yet, but if they're a PNG tuber, my assumption is that they do anime. Oh, they do painter style digital art, doing uh doing like angry penguin right now, like concept art almost. Interesting. Okay, not what I expected. That's cool. Their avatar is like a three-eyed fish face. Interesting. Kind of horror themed. Okay, that's cool. So not the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons. No, more like it wants to join Cthulhu fish, and that's funny. All cracked and gnarly looking. Interesting. Okay, cool. I recently saw a video that went over the lore of like Cthulhu and all of the what's it called? All the monsters from Lovecraft. It was interesting. I've never read Lovecraft stuff, and I don't know. I feel a little weird reading his stuff. But this it was interesting to hear about the lore of it all. Don Lee, welcome. Don Lee says their avatar makes me think of a skull with a third eye. Been lurking, by the way. LOL. Hi. Hey, Don Lee, welcome. How you doing? Don Lee is also a streamer friend. He streams over on Twitch under Don Leo. So Don Lee underscore O with three H's. Yeah, he's in the YouTube chat. Lost Pixel. So yeah, I have two chats running at the same time for anyone who didn't realize that. There's YouTube and then there's Twitch chat. I don't put the chats on screen because if I ever want to grab these videos, um, well, there's two reasons. If I ever want to grab these videos and repurpose them, I don't want to have the Twitch or YouTube chat on. But other than that, you're not supposed to put both on on screen at the same time, and I don't quite know how I would like manage that. So I just don't deal with it. Oh, now they both switched chats. That's funny. Um, let's see. Dunley says there are audiobooks of H.P. Lovecraft. I listened to some of a year or two ago, free from library online service. I think they might have some on Spotify as well. It's cool. I'll check it out. Um, my problem with Lovecraft is he was such a horrible person. Um, hard for me to appreciate, the art. But his, the mythos he made is pretty interesting. So, yeah, I hate it when you find out that like someone big like that, or super, someone who created something very interesting or very cool turns out to be like an awful person. It's so frustrating. There, it's like one thing when it's like, oh, they were kind of like the everyone else at the time, and things really were horrible at the time for certain people. That is like, that sucks, but at least it's like, okay, whatever. But when they're uniquely kind of sticking out, you're just like, that sucks. And if anyone doesn't know about Lovecraft, just look up um, what he named his, I think it was his cat. It might have been his dog. I can't remember. One or the other. I'll kind of give you, I'll give you the flavor of him. But like I said, the lore is really interesting um, overall.
So yeah, there's some cool books about it. I might end up reading or listening to some of his books ultimately. We'll see. I tried not to spoil any of the books for me, but the lore just covered like it didn't cover the lore as in the stories exactly. It covered like the concepts of the beings and their like power level and you know what they are. Hopefully that didn't ruin it too much for me. Gotta go AFK for a few, betting on the hatches. Hey, no problem, Lost Pixel. Good luck with the storms and everything. I'm not going to be streaming for a ton longer, about 15 to 20 minutes ish. Basically about till 4, and then I have to head out. So, but yeah, good luck, man. I hope nothing comes of it. You know, nothing bad comes of all the storms. Hmm. It's so interesting how if you do certain things, even though you don't change like the outline of things, you can change the way you perceive it. Like her jawline definitely needs some adjustment looking at it. Even though I'm not actually changing the shape, it changes the perceived shape of it. So she has a bit of a cleft in her chin, but how that expresses itself with the light can vary a lot. Let's see. Donley is asking, is this painting from a reference image you've taken? You mentioned wanting to take more of your own references. Um, no, it's not. I do want to take more of my own references. This one is not, however. This is an image I found online, and then I have edited it. I cropped it. I did some adjustments and so on to it. But yeah, unfortunately, no, it's not. I I spend hours looking up reference images, trying to find the right ones for paintings. It is very difficult or time consuming to find good reference images because the things that make a lot of times good photos are not the same qualities that make a good painting. And there is overlap, of course, but it very, very much depends on the type of photography you're. And what makes for a good reference image and what makes for, a good photo is also a lot different compared to like what makes for a good photo and good painting. But yeah, most of the very artistic photos out there that people are using, like, that are, we'll just say that are artists that are using photography as their medium, um, that stuff they often don't put on, what's it called? Uh, oh my God. They won't put that on stock image websites. Donnelly says, I definitely understand that search struggle. Yeah. And also depends what you want it for, right? Like, you can buy reference image packs for, from photographers and stuff like that. And that stuff's great, but it's very, like, its usage is often very limited if you're painting directly from it. Like a lot of times those are designed to either be like quick study references um or they're meant for like illustration where you take the reference shot but then you make something very different from it, right? You take the person and then you change the environment and you change, the lighting and you change, like, it's that type of thing, which is very different from what I'm doing. Conley says huge chunks of time can just disappear. Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the many reasons I want to take my own photos, but that's not the only reason. All right, I need to leave the face alone for a little bit and move elsewhere so that I'm not getting, what's it called? Just to refresh my eyes a bit. Hey, I did do a painting from one of those, what's it called, reference packs recently. But like I said, it's definitely got its limitations. Um, I also do the found photography. I need to get back to that soon. Uh, That's on the like to-do list. I've also just been finishing up some paintings. I finished up uh, Bride of Frankenstein recently, and I haven't posted it yet, but I'll be posting that soon. So yeah, I finished that one up and another one up, and there's another painting that I finished, but it's not. I didn't. It's weird because like I finished it, but I'm waiting for it to dry because I'm going to do some experiments on it. So in a way, it's not done, but in a way, it is done. So we'll see. Good time of year to finish Bride of Frankenstein. Any prints of your work uh, in the works? No, no prints. But I, my originals are for sale, and that's actually already up on my website. Bride of Frankenstein is up on my website, but no prints. So I know it's cost prohibitive to some people. I understand, but I just yeah, I don't have any plans for prints. Maybe in the future, I don't know. Um, yeah, I really haven't like looked too much into making prints. Thanks, Donnelly. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's an easy website to find, liad.com. But I do appreciate it because not everyone gets the spelling right. All right, I'm gonna start saying my goodbye now because I have like 5 more minutes. Um, I have to help a buddy out, give him a ride. Um, so I'm going to start saying my goodbyes now. Thank you all for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Don Lee, thank you for chiming in and for your help with the links and everything. Um, yep, all like I said, my paintings are available on my website. This one will be available on my website once it's done. If there's a painting of mine that you see online that isn't on my website, just ask me. I am slowly putting everything on my website. Operative word there, slowly, so it just might not be up yet. Or it might be sold, but by all means, just feel free to contact me if that is the case. But yeah, otherwise, I stream 3 times a week when technical difficulties don't prevent me. So 3 times a week, um, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I'll be back on Thursday streaming Thursday evening. That's the plan. What else? Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow me on Kara and all the other places. Um, yeah. Oh, join the Discord. We're doing Portrait Artist of the Year paint along at the end of towards the end of August. I haven't locked down the date yet. I need to do that. That is in the near future. Date In the near future, I will lock down the date for sometime end of August. But it's a very fun event. Join the Discord for all that, and yeah, and it's also on my channel, but you'll get all the info on Discord. What else? I don't know. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff, but that's the gist of it, I think. Yeah. Um, let's see before I go. All right. I should also mention I have a newsletter on my website where I will so you can sign up for my newsletter. I pretty much never send out anything at the moment, but eventually I will. And there'll be any, special updates will be through that. I don't have any like giveaways with it. I know some people do that where it's like sign up for my, you know, sign up for my newsletter and get such and such free. Yeah, I don't have that set up, but you're welcome to sign up for my newsletter if you want to keep in touch. Uh, when I do start using it, what's it called? You can, you know, you can only trust social media websites to such a degree. You never know when they'll decide to just take people out, sometimes accidentally. So I knew someone who got their YouTube channel revoked because it got hacked and they never used it and they found out years later, basically. So, you know, it does happen. So newsletters, a mailing list is always a good safety measure. Alrighty. I'm gonna call it a day. Thank you. Hey, camera, back off. Jeez. Wow, that was like right up in my face. Um, Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for um, hanging out, and see you Thursday. Have a good one.